everybody to Insight Retreat Center. My name is Kathy.
My name is Heather.
And we're here as resident volunteers at Insight Retreat Center, and we are hosting the IRC's first mini retreat. So welcome.
So good to have you.
We're going to take you into IRC. We'll take a little walk through the gardens and then go on in to begin our retreat.
Great. Let's get started. This is the Insight Retreat Center, the sign that points us in the right direction. And I'm going to follow Kathy here as she takes us through the gate.
When you come to IRC for a residential retreat, the gate opens on opening day and you'll drive through. We are sheltering in place along with all of you. And so the gate is closed and we're going to walk through. Come on in. IRC has opened in 2013, and we've been offering residential retreats throughout that time. We have a big garden and lots of space, outdoor space. We're going to walk through the island.
It's one of my favorite parts of the grounds.
It's a beautiful spot where people can come in. They can sit in here and they can meditate, have a cup of tea during their time here at IRC on retreat. We hope that one day you'll be here and do that with us. You see all the beautiful flowers and plants. We're just well into springtime here at IRC. The garden is quite lush. There's many flowers. And it's getting hot here now, even though it's 10 o'clock here in Santa Cruz, where IRC is located. And it's starting to get hot, and we're just feeling that first taste of summer. There's one of our benches here and one of our booths. This is a nice place to come and to sit when you're here on retreat. For those of you who've been here before, I'm sure this looks very familiar, and it's probably reminiscent of your time here, sitting in retreat at IRC. For those of you who haven't been here or yet to come, we really look forward to having you come and enjoy our space. Let's continue through the island. Got to be careful, there's lizards on the ground here. Be very mindful how we're walking.
Lots of barn swallows above us.
Yeah,
it's fun.
We're coming up to the stairway that is the entrance into IRC. And when you come on retreat, you'll be parking in the parking lot. There's spaces all around us here. And you drive your car in, and then your retreat really begins. So as you come in, you can come up the stairs, and there's a place to wheel up suitcases as well if you need that here. Some of those suitcases get heavy when you come on retreat. So let's go on in.
Great.
We're going to go inside to the center now and meet the resident volunteers. And Heather will talk a little bit about that. And then we'll be beginning our retreat. This week's retreat is taught by Fronsdal. And so come on in and meet everybody.
Great. This is Heather. And once again, we are in the community room. And as Kathy just mentioned, we'll be meeting resident volunteers like Kathy and myself. Resident volunteers live at the Insight Retreat Center and work in landscape, facilities, the kitchen, technology support, and all of us are involved in retreat support. So let's just take a minute to do a round of introductions. And as some of you may recall, our famous rug, where the community space is where our retreats begin. So I'll start with this lovely resident volunteer.
Hi everyone, I'm Yandy and I'm fairly new, moved in right before sheltering in place, very lucky. And I work in facility and also as the online retreat bloomed, I started doing tech support as well. Thank you.
Great. Next.
Hi everyone, I'm Eileen, and my main area was the kitchen, but now that we've been sheltering in place and not holding retreats here, I've been doing a lot of gardening. It's lovely.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Willow. I'm the admin manager here, and as we've moved all our retreats online, I've been really involved in developing the systems and creating lots of documents and working with the technology. It's great to have you.
Great. Our Buddha. Next.
Hi, I'm Doug. I'm the facilities manager. And so that really means just taking care of the physical structures, the buildings, the grounds, the water, electricity that comes in. Among other things, recently I've been working on putting a new backup generator in. And that's come by way of many donations that were given specifically to upgrade our energy systems. So that's been much appreciated, and we've been able to do that now that we have some downtime here. So it's great to have everybody here. It's wonderful to be able to host retreats again.
Great. And Kathy?
Hi again, everybody. I'm Kathy, and when we have residential retreats, I work in the kitchen along with Eileen. And during the time that we're all sheltering in place together, I'm doing various things, supporting the online retreat. I work in the garden, pulling weeds, and occasionally with a little bit of painting. So happy to be here with you today and practicing with you, and excited to be having this online retreat. Thanks for being here.
Great. And my name is Heather Gardner, and I moved in as a resident volunteer in October, and I support our landscape work and housekeeping work. And I'm just, as well as our retreat practice work here, and just, I'm really delighted to be with you all today. And now I'm going to turn it over to an off-site resident volunteer. Thanks so much, and I look forward to practicing with you today.
Hi everyone, I'm Lish. I'm a resident volunteer regularly, and during the shelter in place, I've been with my mom in Palo Alto, which is about an hour away from IRC. And regularly I do housekeeping, support the work days, and retreat support. And today I'm just feeling a lot of connection and belonging and inclusion to the Sangha that's been created online. And you know, one of the things I love about IRC is that when we do have retreats, everyone who's a part of the retreat creates the retreat together. And in the same way today, I know that all of us who are participating together in this space together will be the retreat, we'll be creating the retreat. So I really look forward to practicing with all of you, and I'm going to turn it over to Gil.
Yeah. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our little mini retreat. And I'm actually at IMC Inside Meditation Center in Redwood City, and that's where I'm sheltering in place here. I spend my days either alone here at IMC or at home, which is about a mile away. And very nice for me to have this feel like I'm there at IRC a little bit. it's been a wonderful part of my life to be there on retreat and to be together with the resident volunteers. So this is a nice way to have contact with them. And they've been kind of a family, their own family for this shelter in place time, kind of a lone little bubble. Fortunate to have a 3-acre bubble to which they can kind of stay sequestered in and quarantined in. And I think they've been enjoying themselves. And it's been very nice to have this wide IRC community around the world that people have been on retreats here. And so I hope that for those of you who feel been part of IRC and coming here for years, and those of you who are interested for a long time, it gives you a little bit of a taste of coming on retreat here. One of the big challenges we've had at IRC is that long waiting list for people trying to come in here. So this way we can kind of, share some of the benefits of IRC without, and not have a waiting list. Anyone can come and get a little taste of what we do. And then I think the idea is each time we do these Wednesdays, the resident volunteers will introduce you to little different parts of our retreat center. And those of you who've never been here will get filled out and get a sense of what it's about. So the idea is to meditate. Now, the schedule is to meditate for, I think 30 minutes, and then we'll do 15, 20 minutes of walking meditation, and then do another meditation, and then I'll give a short talk, and followed ending with a period of Q&A where you can write some questions in the chat group at YouTube, and I'll try to respond the best I can if you have. And so I hope that this is a nice little mini retreat for you. So to begin our time together, of meditating together, you might want to take a meditation posture that brings you both a sense of ease, some way of putting your body that's both comfortable, but also expresses a commitment to being alert. There's the IRC meditation hall. And so generally it's to sit a little bit more alert with your spine, or to be in some posture a little more alert with the spine than you normally would. But so you can also support the body to relax. And this combination of being alert and relaxed is really one of the key things about key kind of pathways of meditation practice, both alert physically, but also alert mentally, and relaxed physically and relaxed mentally. And this meditation hall at IRC is a very quiet place. There's a lot of stillness and quiet. And if you have your eyes open still, you can take a look and see, and you maybe get a little feeling of the quiet and the peacefulness. And in a room that hundreds of people have meditated in now, thousands of people, and experienced, shared in creating the stillness and the silence. It's almost like the years of meditation in this hall has saturated the walls, the floor, the ceiling with a certain capacity for intimacy with stillness, intimacy with a quiet and peacefulness that we can have. And so then closing your eyes and allowing your body to become still. Maybe gently, softly, you can let the body not be held frozen or tight, but appreciate a certain kind of inner stillness in your body. And in that stillness of the body, perhaps there's also a place you can go, an awareness of some inner quiet. Some people talk about the quiet, still place within. And perhaps there's a place that you can find within your heart, your body, your mind, that has some hints of quiet and stillness, and maybe even peacefulness. And with that as a reference point, to peacefully, gently take some long, slow, deep breaths. And as you exhale, maybe settling into the still, quiet place within. Maybe breathing in deeply in a sense of expanding out this stillness outward into the rest of the body. And exhaling and settling in. And then letting your breathing return to normal. And then often it's nice at the beginning of a meditation session to relax your body. But perhaps as you release or relax some of the tense muscles, it can be a feeling that you're letting go into the place of quiet and stillness. Not in opposition to your thinking and the noise of the mind, but maybe underneath it. Low. So relaxing the muscles of the face, relaxing the muscles of the shoulders, relaxing the belly. And perhaps in some ways relaxing the whole body. And then within the body as part of your bodily experience, becoming aware of your body breathing. Perhaps becoming aware of the body breathing from or in a place of quiet and stillness. A quiet and stillness that's not in opposition to anything, that doesn't make anything a problem, but it becomes a reference point for all things, becomes a reference point for not having any contentiousness with anything, to allow things to be in the middle of all things, to settle yourself on the experience of breathing. That as you exhale, you can let go of your concern and interest with your thoughts. And letting your interest be with your breathing. Breathing in and breathing out. letting go of your thoughts and letting go into breathing, the body breathing, and looking to be very simple with your breathing, not trying to do too much or accomplish too much, but trusting a degree of quiet and stillness, of being aware, quietly aware of breathing in and breathing out. And you find yourself wandering off in thought, and you notice that's happening. See if you can allow yourself the chance to be peaceful about that, to not be in opposition to it or disturbed by anything that your mind is doing. Step back in a sense with awareness and let it be okay. And at the same time, no longer be interested or engaged with your thoughts. Stepping back from them and begin again with your breathing. Step back, settle back into the stillness and the quiet within. And allowing the movements of the body breathing to be a massage for that stillness, that quiet. And perhaps still coming back to the inner quiet and stillness that also has a sense of freedom or aliveness, peacefulness. Even if it's just a little hints of these qualities, to rest the breathing or rest the awareness in the stillness and the quiet. Not so much doing anything or accomplishing anything as trusting, being present, being aware to what is from this place of quiet, peacefulness, stillness. And as you breathe, to breathe with the quiet, through the stillness and peace. So the idea now is to take a 20-minute period for walking meditation, and shortly enough, the resident volunteers will spotlight the walking hall at there we go, the walking hall at IRC. So you can imagine you're walking there. It's a very quiet room, and there's cork on the floor so that it's a little bit soft to walk on. And as a little different way of offering some instructions for walking meditation, imagine that you are carrying over your shoulders a very big heavy burlap sack. And it's filled with sand or little dirt of some kind. It's really heavy. And you've been carrying it with you for years, for decades perhaps. But it turns out that some good person who wanted to help you, poked a little hole with a needle in the back of that sack. And as long as you walk, all that stuff begins to dribble out. But if you stop walking, you're not jostling it enough. And so then the sand stops pouring out. If you just keep walking in your meditation back and forth, staying present, feeling each foot on the floor, the ground as you walk, feeling the movements of the body, trying to be very simple as you can, then if you can just imagine you're in the back of you, pouring away are all your thoughts, your concerns, your worries, all the things that you don't need to have present, all things you've been carrying for a long time. Just let it all pour away, almost invisibly, as you give yourself over to just being in your body as you walk. And we'll walk for about until 10:50, and about 3 minutes before, about 10:47, the resident volunteers will ring a bell so you know to come back to the meditation hall, and we'll come back and do one more meditation session together in the meditation hall. Enjoy the short little walking time. Thank you. So, welcome back for our second meditation session. And if you could once again settle into your meditation posture. And one of the little practices that is used for Vipassana is something called mental labeling. And this is to make a very soft, peaceful note, mental note, one word thought, that helps you to recognize whatever is that's happening that's predominant. And one way to use this is to stay focused on your breathing mostly. And then if something takes you away from the breathing, a thought or a sound or some feeling, sensation in your body, then with one word, recognize what that is. But part of the art of using the mental noting is that the way you do the noting is very important. It's almost like saying it peacefully, calmly, openly is actually the main purpose of the mental noting, is to help you kind of just be at ease with what's happening. At the same time, not to be caught by what's happening. The mental note, you might say it a few different times, like if you're thinking, thinking, but say it peacefully, quietly, um, and so then you can also learn to step away, not be caught by what you're recognizing, be a little bit free from what you're recognizing. And this idea of learning to be calm with and at ease with what's happening and not involved with what's happening is part of the art of meditation, mindfulness meditation. So staying with your breathing, tuning into your body breathing, and different people will experience breathing in different places. Some people in the belly as it moves, the chest as it moves, the air going in and out through the nostrils. Wherever it might be that you're experiencing breathing, you might relax into your breathing as if you're settling in, as if you're being carried along by that rhythm of breathing in and out, as if breathing is the home for your awareness. And if anything, and you might use a mental label to help you stay there with it, in as you breathe in, out as you breathe out, just to stay. But if anything takes you away, or any way you forget being connected to your breathing, use a mental note to label one word to recognize what that is. Maybe say it a few times as a way of stepping back, letting it be how it is, just recognizing it peacefully. And after a few moments, begin again with your breathing. Always beginning again. One moment at a time. Here. remembering to use the mental notes as a way of being present, to wake up from having drifted off in thought by clearly, calmly recognizing, thinking. Maybe say it a few times, thinking, thinking. Both to find a calm, non-contentious way of recognizing your thinking and to not be entangled with it, to open up, to be independent of your thoughts. And then to begin again with your breathing. Maybe gently, calmly, peacefully, naming in, out, so you can stay in the flow of the present moment. one of the potentials of developing quiet inner stillness or openness or peacefulness, spaciousness, is that it's possible to share that with other people, so that when with other people, that we make room for them so they're allowed to be as they are. There's a generosity and a care for others that gives them space to be who they are, by not rushing in, by having our thoughts not caught up in commentary or judgments or distractions, but to really be present, both independent of others, but also very present for others. And may it be that the meditation practice that we do in this way that I'm talking about today and in other ways is considered and thought about how it does it make us more contributing members of our world, the people we encounter. How is it that the meditation, through meditation, we're in a better position to make the world a better place for other people and ourselves? May this meditation bring welfare and happiness to all beings everywhere. So, so thank you for participating in our meditation through the IRC. And so I'd like to give a little talk, and maybe it's inspired by, in a sense, being at IRC with you all in this indirect way or direct way with video, our computers, our devices. That I think of IRC as a sanctuary, and kind of like a nature sanctuary, where nature sanctuaries, maybe it's a place where we're protecting the natural life, the vegetation, the plants, the animals in that location, and they're safe there to thrive. And IRC is a sanctuary, and but it's partly a sanctuary for our inner lives. It's a sanctuary where we can discover and awaken and protect something important that's within us, that's easily lost in the busyness or preoccupations of daily life. And many people who come to a sanctuary like IRC will report that as soon as they step on the property or come into the community room, they feel different. They feel there's a peacefulness or settledness or at-homeness that's very nice. I felt very much when this video camera was turned on and we saw the meditation hall. I've been there for so many times, so I have very strong associations. But just seeing it, I could feel the peacefulness of the place. And that's one of the benefits of going to a retreat center or going someplace in the natural world or anywhere we know, where the place itself has a peacefulness, has a settledness, has a clarity to it. because our inner life will be reminded by that. We recognize it in the world around us because it lives in us as well. And so if you feel a peacefulness by stepping into a meditation hall, into a beautiful natural setting, be reassured that you can only experience that peacefulness because in some kind of way, the potential or the peacefulness is something it's already in you as a possibility, as something that your system can recognize and tune into. And not to be so focused externally, like the place and the things and the people are the thing, and want to just go to always to the same place or always be around the same calm or peaceful people or something, but to really kind of appreciate in the contact with a peaceful environment that there's something inside of ourselves that's been awoken. And then we're the caretakers of that. Not that we're holding on to being peaceful or calm or still, but maybe what we're holding on to a little bit is the intimacy and the care and the inner attention to our inner life, so that what's beautiful, what's precious, what's important in life is something we stay close in touch with. And that we really are nurturing and supporting the wisdom that's inside, the reference points of the possibility of not being anxious, the inner possibility of not being agitated or caught up in a lot of desires spinning out. We have the possibility of not being lost in thought. We have the possibility through not having all these kind of preoccupations to feel an intimacy, a closeness within. And the path to that is not to hold on to that peace and stillness, but to whatever degree there's some kind of inner peacefulness, inner calm, to also use that as a reference point to understand, to see how we are not calm, how we're agitated. We don't want to put blinders on. We want to also be able to wisely see how we're caught in the world, caught up in thoughts and all this, preoccupied. But this balance, this kind of seesawing back and forth between being calm and settled, spacious, open, still, whatever it might be at different times, different way of feeling it, helps us to see how we're not that way, but also it can help us to then see when we're not that way, but to see in a calm way, to see in a spacious way, to see in a non-contentious way. That's what's happening. Here I'm agitated. That's what's happening. This is agitation. As opposed to, oh no, I'm agitated and I shouldn't be agitated. It's like, oh, here is agitation. Here is a person who's agitated. And so we're always in mindfulness meditation, experimenting, looking, what stance, what way can we hold our experience without being in opposition with it, without making it into a problem. And so to have these inner sanctuaries, not to hold on to it, but to help us be wiser in the life when we get caught and involved in things, and things are really difficult. And over time, as mindfulness practice develops and gets stronger, we'll find that we begin having the ability to bring a non-contentious, a non-oppositional, a non-contracted attention to whatever's happening, even if it's quite difficult within. And this idea of making space for things and allowing it. And it's not to condone anything. It's not to naively accept anything, everything and anything, but rather to be able to hold all things, including things which are difficult and things we don't agree with, in a calm way, in a peaceful way, or a still way, or a way that we're in touch with the source of wisdom inside, the source of love inside, the source of compassion and care, so that not only we're caring for everything, we're also being wise about it. And wisdom then would help us decide what we do about it and what we say and all that. But our ability to talk wisely and lovingly or kindly or supportingly for all beings has a lot to do with this inner sanctuary, this inner place that is maybe best talked about not so much positively, in positive terms like calm and peace and stillness and all these wonderful qualities that I was emphasizing. Maybe it's sometimes wiser to see that inner sanctuary by what is not there, that it's non-contention, it's non-contraction, it's non-fear, it's without greed, it's without a lot of selfing, self-preoccupation, it's without hostility. And then whatever's in there, that intimacy that's not covered over by all those things, that can be what it is. And in different ways, different days, we might put different words on it. The word that maybe kind of best spans both the positive ideas, words for that inner sanctuary, and what it's not, the absence that's there, is the word freedom. That we're touching into our capacity for freedom, to be free from preoccupation, from clinging, craving, agitation. So there is an absence in freedom, but freedom also feels like a very positive thing and a very wonderful thing to come out of us, a sense of freedom and liberation. And it's considered to be a fantastic path, a fantastic, noble, worthy, profound task to walk this path of mindfulness, to do this work of seesawing through awareness back and forth to the inner sanctuary and the outer place where we get caught in our thoughts, our mind, our hearts, and to really kind of massage and see and understand and really be dedicated to seeing more and more clearly who we are, what's really going on with ourselves and the world, but to see it with a peaceful, with a non-contentious eyes. And it's a fantastic path. And the chances are that if we take that path, that our lives are here our lives become a gift to the world, that we enter the world with the gift of not causing harm, not coming and speaking and acting from a place of where we're more likely to a place of anger or hostility or greed or lust or fear. And just that is a big difference to the world. But even more so, maybe we can come into the world with greater care, with greater kindness, greater love, greater compassion. I certainly hope that places like IRC that are a kind of outer sanctuary that we protect is a sanctuary really to support the awakening and the growing of this inner sanctuary that we learn to carry with us everywhere we go, and to carry with us a sanctuary and then to invite everyone else into it, in a sense, to allow everyone else to kind of have space for people in our hearts and quiet with people in our hearts, kind of like allow people to be who they are, and they don't have to contend with our assertiveness, our greed, our needs, our preoccupations, our hostilities, and our aversions. What a gift to include everyone in this wonderful sanctuary of freedom and peace. So that was the, I guess, the inaugural talk for these mini retreats that we're going to do here at IRC. And I'm very happy that we've started this, and I'm very happy for myself to have this continuity of practicing with IRC now that I'm sheltered in place and not going. And I hope it's true for you all for being part of this as well. And the discussions I've had with the resident volunteers leading up to this, I think they are enjoying it too. I think there's a great sense of joy they have to to put on this and to invite you all into their kind of their home during the shelter in place and share their practice and place. And that's why they're here at IRC, is to support people in their practice. So now they can, do this again with through this online medium. And so we'll do this now. The plan is to do this every Wednesday, and different teachers who teach retreats at IRC will come through and offer teachings and meditation and in this kind of way. Next week, it's Nikki Murgafori, who just finished teaching the last online retreat that we had here at IRC. We've now done, I don't know, 4 or 5 online retreats. And to at least certainly to my surprise, maybe many people were surprised by how well these work and how meaningful they are for people to do practice at home together on online retreats. So we'll be doing more of these and continue with online retreats and certainly with these online mini retreats and with Nikki next week. And so if any of you would have any questions you would like to ask, we can take about 15 minutes or so. If you want to type a question into the chat box on the YouTube place, then I will try to read it out loud and see what you might want, what I might be able to respond or say. And I certainly would love to hear from you. And so, yeah, I'm very happy that the resident volunteers are going to, here we go. I frequently became dreamy when I meditate, and it seems to fill my mind, making spacious mindfulness and creating an inner sanctuary difficult. Any suggestions? Yeah. So one of the common reasons for becoming dreamy is to become a little bit too calm in meditation. And so we certainly don't want you to be agitated, but you might sit up straighter. You might do walking meditation. You might open your eyes. You might use the mental noting, because if you use mental noting, you can increase the energy behind mental noting so that you bring the mind up out of a calm space into a little bit more vitality and aliveness, so that you're more likely to catch the dreaminess, more likely to catch when you start thinking, drifting off, and wake up and just tell yourself, oh, there's dreaming, and sit up straight and come back and kind of become clear. So that's one thing you might try. And another reason, and if there's a lot of dreaminess going on, and a very interesting thing to do is it takes a lot of attention. It might take a while to kind of catch on, but that is, as soon as you notice you're dreamy or starting to dream, see if you can notice what happened just before you got dreamy, because sometimes we're getting bored or have some kind of fear or something, some concern, and the dreaminess is a way of escaping. And so to notice what happens just before, for some people, they realize, oh, that's what motivating dreaminess. What needs attention is not the boredom, is not the dreaminess, but the boredom or the fear that might have catalyzed it. Okay. Best way to approach loud conversations, TV from other places in the house. Just observe my reactions. I think so. I think knowing your reactions is maybe, I don't know, just observe your reactions. But for people who do mindfulness practice, you want to begin by really knowing your reactivity, your reactions. Know what's happening to you. That's what you can be responsible for. And once you get familiar with how you react and what your activity is, then you can decide, what the wise thing to do is, whether to talk to them to be quieter if they can, if it's reasonable. If it's not reasonable, maybe go someplace else if it's really troublesome, or learn how to just treat it as sound and learn how to be equanimous, take it as an exercise in equanimity and allowing. I've certainly been in places with loud conversations and even TV and not been troubled. Just the background kind of noise. It's kind of unpleasant, but I just let it be. And I've been places in the opposite where I can't let it alone. I'm really caught by it and self-righteous and all kinds of things. So look at the reactivity and see what to do from there. Is there an appropriate way to know when to retreat into the inner sanctuary with formal practice and when to plunge into worldly activity? Nice question. Oh, I see. So they're coming in. The question's too fast, so I lose them here a little bit. Yeah. So when to do inner sanctuary? Well, some of it has to do with a context of situation. Sometimes the world requires us to jump in, and that's the wisest thing. You know, if a neighbor is having some real trouble, is sick, and needs to go to the ER, or there's a fire next door, plunge into the world and take care of it, maybe the best you can. But if you're really troubled by something and it's really difficult for you, and you have a lot of time, and there's nothing that needs to be done, maybe that's a time to step aside and go into the inner sanctuary and really find out deeply what's going on and find out. And so different contexts, you might make a different choice of what to do. But I think the more skilled you become at the inner sanctuary, touching into it, the less you have to pull away, and the quicker it is to kind of reestablish it there. And so you can bring it with you into the world, so the two don't have to be opposed. That plunging into the world is together with the sanctuary. I will begin a 4-day home retreat with you and Max in 2 weeks. Any advice for home retreats that might be different from a retreat at IRC? Well, if you're living with a partner, have a conversation with a family or partner or people in the household about the parameters or the agreements about how you're going to be on retreat in the house with them. So that's really well laid out ahead of time and well understood. And sometimes you have to kind of take care of the people in the household. So you can't just go completely into silence. You have to decide when to be in conversation and how to take care of things. And then I think it's helpful to decide what you're going to do about meals. Are the meals your work meditation, where you really engage with it as part of the meditation practice? Or do you want to keep it so simple that you make a lot of meals ahead of time that are frozen and just bring them out of the freezer to thaw and keep it that simple? And it's helpful to be a little bit strict for home practice, that you really avoid as much as you can with very clearly defined times where you really stay away from email, stay away from the phone, stay away from certainly looking at websites and news and things like that. If you have to do those things, have clear times when you're doing it, so it's kind of conscious and intentional, and you're not just drifting off into it. I can go on, but let's do some other questions. I've heard people talk about the risks of spiritual bypass in meditation practices. What is it? How does one know if one is falling into a bypass, and what can one do? That usually refers to the idea that people have some difficulty, some suffering, some difficulty, some challenge. And rather than looking at it directly and really trying to face it and work with it and resolve it, they, in a sense, bypass it, go around it by going into some nice meditative state, going into some nice state of bliss or joy or happiness or something, or go into some kind of fantasy about what it's all about, fantasy about how wonderful the world is an inner sanctuary, and I can just kind of treat everything as kind of a fairy tale and everything just wonderful and sweet and rosy. And so this idea of avoiding. And how does know if one has fallen into a bypass? Usually it takes, one idea is you let your friends tell you. If you have good friends who know you, they probably point out, you're not really, there's an issue here with you, and you seem like you're actually kind of angry a lot of the time, but it seems like, what's going on? And or so ask a good friend what they think. Are you really bypassing stuff? or if something keeps reappearing, some difficulty and challenge, and instead of facing it, you notice you keep avoiding it, you keep going off someplace else. At some point, the practice is to look at things head on. Generally, if a person's practicing mindfulness, it's self-correcting, because bypasses always will catch up to us. Always the things always the unresolved issues in our life, sooner or later will come into meditation. I don't think you can really easily keep it at bay for too long. The walking meditation was so helpful. Could you say more? Any prompts for further alone practice or for working more with meditation and movement with hyperactive folks? Does IRC do this a lot? Yeah, at the Insight Retreat Center, when we do retreats, we alternate between walking meditation and sitting meditation. And so there's a nice rhythm of going back and forth. And that's one way to do it at home practice, is to maybe always begin with walking meditation. And if you like getting up early, and one nice thing to do if you have a place you can go outside in the early morning when things are quiet, get some fresh air, go for a walk, do a little bit of walking meditation back and forth. And then come back carefully to your seated meditation, bring with you some of the connectedness or some of the focus or some of the calm of the walking meditation, and come back and sit. And for hyperactive folks, it might be very helpful to do some walking meditation in the context of our everyday life. There might be every day, if you're walking a lot of places, like maybe choose it could even be like a 40-foot walkway where you have to walk often during the day, and say, well, this walkway I'm going to do is walking meditation. I'm going to really do it slowly and consciously, so I'm not giving in automatically into my hyperactivity. If you drive to work, maybe park your car a little bit further away from work and use from the car to work as a walking meditation. Not maybe always drive to work 5 minutes early, so you can really not get into hyperactive mode of walking across the parking lot, but you really do it as a walking meditation. If you go to the bathroom during the day, use that as walking meditation. It's not like a long time, so maybe you can afford not to be hyperactive for these short little times, and see what you learn about yourself. I always have words going through my mind. Is it really possible to turn them off? Sometimes they are helpful, like reminders to let go, but they're always on. Yeah, don't worry about the always on thoughts. What you might do though, however, is you might be able to quiet them. Maybe you can't turn them off, but you can turn down the volume. And maybe you can speak them with a quieter voice in your mind, or even a kinder voice. Or maybe you can slow them down so there's little gaps between them, just quieter. And as they get quieter and quieter, the thoughts might become thinner and thinner. And at some point, you might notice that they've kind of naturally come to stillness, and it's just been quiet for a while in there. But there's no on and off switch, so don't worry about except sometimes you can let go of them for a little bit. And if you do let go, and there, even if it's just for half a second that the mind has gotten quiet, enjoy it. Enjoy the half a second, and don't mind that your thinking comes back. On a related note, some people find it easier to focus when there's a lot of sound. Silence is difficult. Yes, thank you. That's absolutely true. And the sounds sometimes can be, like even nature sounds outside or anything, can be a very nice protection from getting overly preoccupied in one's self-preoccupied thoughts. And so it kind of frees people up a little bit, and it can be helpful. I find the concept of no exceptions difficult when wishing peace, loving kindness, compassion to all beings. How can I extend to people whose hateful behavior causes death and destruction? Well, I don't know about wishing peace, but loving kindness, compassion, I think is a too high a bar, and maybe not even realistic to always expect we're supposed to have love and compassion for all beings. Loving kindness and compassion is a powerful, beautiful, profound thing to do, but you don't want to make it universal with no exceptions. It's just asking for too much difficulty. However, what we can do is we can care about people. We can have a little bit of goodwill to people. So even people who do hateful behavior, we don't condone the hateful behavior. We don't accept it. We don't for it. But we can have some care for the suffering person who's doing it. We can have some kind of basic human goodwill, like, yeah, I don't want this person to be harmed anymore. I don't want this person to have more suffering. If this person's really struggling with me and say they fall down the sidewalk with a heart attack, yes, I have enough goodwill that I'll call the ambulance. I'll try to find something for them. And maybe if they're causing death and destruction, maybe I'll also call the police. With all my goodwill, wishing them well, wishing them that they get better, and not continue what they're doing, I'm calling the police. I was wondering if you could comment on the phrase, may all beings be happy. I heard at a talk that the actual translation is, may all beings be at ease. I can understand better than happiness. Yeah, it's a little bit optional how we translate the word sukha. There's different contexts, maybe it means different things. I like the word ease quite a bit too. I think for many years when I did metta, I did ease rather than happy as the word. And now I'm back to happy. So, these are personal choices, and whatever makes you happy, whatever brings you ease, whatever you're trying to do, I think that we don't need to universalize these things and say there's an absolute way and there's a right way of doing this. Especially with doing loving kindness practice, do it in a playful way. Do it in a way that's your way. Do it in a way that has the desired impact or effect. If the effect is to help you be more happy or loving or caring or more peaceful or more at ease, use the phrases that help support you and help you what it is. And I think ease is a simpler term than happy, and it's a beautiful term. So thank you. So next two were thank yous. Let's see, are there more here? Is that, are we at the bottom now? I think I'm at the bottom. So we're at 12 o'clock. So thank you. I appreciate very much the comments and the questions and the chance to be together this way and the chance to share IRC for all of you together with the resident volunteers, and maybe we can have a last word from one of our hosts to these dedicated resident volunteers. And does one of you want to be one of your hosts want to, please?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Gil, and thank you all for practicing with us and for practicing together from everywhere in the world. May our practice benefit all beings everywhere. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday.
Great. Thank you, Yun Li. Thank you, everyone. See you next week.